Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello everyone, my name is Mark, aka Derringer. Today is Sunday, March 25th, and you are listening to episode 149 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside 2 news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So what's been going on with me? Well, the beginning half of the week, it was all Planetside 2. If you've been following me on Twitch, then you know I've been live streaming pretty much every gaming session. Just been doing that an awful lot. Unfortunately, once we hit the end of the week, it was personal time. My daughter recently turned 18, and therefore it was birthday party stuff all this past weekend with family and friends. And even though it is it's the end of March and 30 degrees here in Massachusetts, I was still outside grilling chicken wings and hot dogs, you know, the stuff that my daughter likes, because obviously since it's her birthday, she gets whatever she wants cooked for her. So, like I said, had a pretty decent party over the past couple days and doing lots of family stuff and spending time with the family and friends and celebrating and stuff like that. So, really haven't had a chance to play that much Planetside 2, basically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and now we're into Sunday. Hopefully I'm going to be able to pop back in and play a little bit tonight. Maybe do another live stream session tonight. Of course, you'll be listening to this on Monday, so that'll be in the past, but that's certainly all right. So other than that, my week has been pretty quiet, but I have a lot of topics to talk about on this week's show, so let's jump right in. So what's in store for this week's show? Well, first, a small PTS update to talk about, followed by a cryptic tweet from Planetside 2 and an announced Dev Livestream coming up. After that, I want to talk about the return of April Fool's Day items that were missing last year. I also want to talk about who owns Planetside 2 based upon a request during one of my Twitch streams. And finally, I'm going to finish up with LevelCap's recent YouTube video about Planetside 2. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. All right, first up, like I said, they snuck in a small PTS update this past Friday, and just a couple small things that were listed in it. And the biggest one is the change to the Structure Shield module. And what they've done is they've given it an activatable ability called Overcharge Shield Wall. It sounds very similar to like the Vanguard's shield. It's able to pop and things like that. And basically interacting with the Structure Shield module will allow you to overcharge the shields of Rampart walls, Lumifiber walls, and Blast walls, which will make them immune to damage for 30 seconds. Now, it's going to take 15 seconds for you to charge this up for it to actually take effect, and then there's also a 30-second recharge time between uses. So a little interesting addition to the actual Structure Shield module on the PTS currently. And for those on PS4 side, this is construction related, sorry. They also had some bug fixes included in this pass. They've found that the ant siege damage was a little too aggressive, so they tuned it down a little bit. They also fixed a bug where the flail was not properly firing after 300 meters. They reduced the flail maximum range from 1,000 meters down to 600 meters. I'm not too happy that they took 400 meters off of it, but I guess in their testing on PTS, they found that it was able to fire a little too far. The Pain Spire should now also properly register players entering the circle for the first time. Clearly, there was a bug where that wasn't happening. Bunker shield should no longer blink on and off. Also, the infantry terminal inside the bunker has now returned as well. The Flail, Pain Spire, and Routing Spire, these are the 3 new things added last week, should now highlight when placing repair modules, and they also are now able to be repaired and deconstructed. Finally, models for the Glaive and Flail targeting devices have been modified. And the only existing known issue on the PTS is that the deconstructor tool and the welding tool are overlapping if they're pulled in the same life. That's something that they've been trying to correct for a number of PTS updates at this point. So that's the entire update in a nutshell. Really, some bug fixes that they ironed out, and just that overcharge shield wall ability that they're adding. So with this, now we've got 4 new things added to construction in the past 2 weeks. Clearly, we've seen multiple posts on Reddit that they're focusing a lot on construction right now and bringing construction more in line with the rest of the game. Again, I don't know that this is going to force me to play construction when I don't want to, but for those who do, I guess it's good things to have them into the game. But with that, let's move on to our second topic this week. And that second topic was, like I said at the beginning of the show, a very cryptic tweet from Planetside 2. And what was that tweet exactly? It said, "You've spent years on the battlefields fighting your way to countless victories. You've reached the top of the ranks. You've proven yourself to be one of the elites. Or at least that's what you thought. Hashtag TheASP." And then there's a picture, which kind of looks like a rank, a decal that you earn from ranks. So again, this is very cryptic. There's not a lot of information regarding it. There's not a lot of replies from anybody at Daybreak Games about what this is all about. So obviously this has driven some really blind speculation on exactly what we're actually going to get with this change that's coming. So what are people speculating currently that this is going to include? Maybe a battle rank increase to 130, a battle rank increase to 150. A lot of people are speculating that this could be the outfit progression that a lot of people have been clamoring for, and could be part of the outfit upgrade coming this year. A lot of people are suggesting that it could potentially be prestige ranks. And if you're not familiar with prestige is really an idea of once you've reached maximum level in a game, it's a concept of basically resetting your progress in the game after you've reached that maximum level, and then trying to reach that maximum level a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, etc. time going on through it. And then each time you re-rank yourself up all the way through the prestige system, you earn a special icon or a special camo or something like that. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare used this in its competitive multiplayer modes. A lot of single player games use this, where you go through the first iteration of the game on easy mode, and then that unlocks a hard mode, or after you go through the hard mode, it unlocks an ultra hard mode, things like that. So there's definitely some speculation that this could be prestige levels in Planetside 2, and I imagine that would mean that the battle rank of 120 would remain the same, and then it would push people to try and get to battle rank 120 a second time, and in so doing that, they unlock maybe a special camouflage, or a special gun in game, or a special title in game, or a special decal in game. There's certainly a lot of things that can be done with prestige levels. I'm not a huge fan of prestige levels, and especially not in Planetside 2, just because for a casual player like myself, it takes so goddamn long to get to BR 120 that to try to do it again for a prestige level, while that may really appeal to some players, it does not appeal to me. And just getting a special camouflage for doing it, or a title, or a decal, or something, I don't know. I mean, maybe if they gave me some special camo every X number of levels, like at 50, at 100, at 120, that might incentivize me a little bit more to do it. But right now, I have as much fun playing all three factions, and I still have a couple characters who are not BR 120, rather than trying to continue on my quote unquote main character to try and get to 120 again. So I hope Prestige isn't the way that they're certainly going on it. Now, other options besides Prestige, maybe some situational directives people are speculating, kill 3 medics in 30 seconds in order to unlock a new directive, or, something along those lines. And then the final thing that a lot of people are speculating is Black Ops. Now, if you never played the original Planetside, then you don't really know what Black Ops is. So let me give a second and just explain it. To kind of dumb it down into its easiest iteration, Black Ops allowed players who had reached maximum rank within the game itself to go and play on a fourth faction, which fought for whoever was the underpop faction in a given fight. And you were only allowed to, potentially in Planetside 2, only allowed to use NS weapons. So you couldn't, in the original, you couldn't use any of the regular weapons that you would normally get. So like, for example, if you played NC, you wouldn't have access to any of the NC weapons. You'd just have access to the NS weapons. And it was really just a way to help stagnant gameplay in Planetside as the server populations were dwindling down to nothing. It's something a lot of people have been asking for in Planetside 2, but I don't know that that would be something that would specifically bring a lot of high BR players back into the game just to be able to do that. And in all honesty, the fights that I see, and granted, a lot of my play is just on Emerald itself, a lot of the fights are pretty much 33, 33, 33, or 32, 34, 35. I know that math doesn't work, sorry. But they're very, the percentage between the three factions is very similar, that I don't know Black Ops would necessarily work. Maybe on a server where one faction is woefully unrepresented, maybe that would work, but I don't know how it would work across all of them. So I don't know that it's Black Ops coming to Planetside 2 as well. If I had to guess, maybe BR 130 would be my guess. And I would hope that it's outfit progression instead, because I do think outfit progression would be a lot more appealing to a lot of different players, rather than just increasing the level cap. But again, all of this is just blind speculation because we don't know what the ASP is. And I didn't even reach out to anybody at Planetside 2 to ask what this is, because even if they told me, which I doubt they would tell me, I wouldn't be able to talk about it on the show because it's their surprise and not for me to ruin. But with that, let's move on to topic number 3 for this week's show. And topic number 3 is the Dev stream that was recently announced, Dev Livestream that was announced. So March 27th at 2 p.m. Pacific. I'm on the East Coast, so that's going to be 5 Eastern time for me. Most likely when I am driving home from work is when this will be live streamed. And the 27th obviously is Tuesday. So what they've announced nothing that's going to show up on this particular live stream. So again, this is just blind speculation about what they're most likely going to be talking about. But I do think that the ASP announcement that I just talked about in the previous topic is probably going to be the first thing that they're going to talk about on this Dev live stream. So even though that last topic was kind of speculation, who knows? I do think that it's only going to be a couple days before we actually learn what the ASP actually is. So there's no need to do any blind speculation further than what I've already done on this week's show. But what else do I think that they're going to talk about on this live stream? Most likely we're going to be introed to the new battle rifles that Doku's designed, because don't forget, we're rolling through all the different weapons, and after the last ones came out, the LMGs came out, Rel did specifically say that battle rifles are next, so I do expect us to get an announcement of battle rifles this month and actually preview them and see how the models look in game themselves. I do think that we're also going to have a lot of construction talk on this particular live stream because, again, don't forget they've introduced the change for orbital strikes to strike anywhere on the map. They've added the Pain Spire, they've added the router, they've added the flail. These are all things that they are most likely going to show off and hype on this live stream, along with the other construction changes that they've really been pushing through lately. And I mean, if you go to Reddit, there were a flurry of posts from Drew, who posts under DB Drew on Reddit, about all the construction changes that he had been making to the game. So I expect we're going to see him on this particular live stream, and that there's going to be a lot of construction talk. Some other things that people are hoping for, and I'm hoping for as well, there was a lot of talk recently about outfit camo functionality. Basically, you know how in-game, if you're in an outfit, you can purchase an outfit decal, and that will allow you to put that on, and then whatever your outfit's decal is, you'll wear that. There's been talk about doing the same with camo. There's been talk with doing the same with armor and the same with helmets, as far as I remember. I know camo is probably the most easy one to do. It can't be that much different than using whatever code is built into the game for the decal. But like I said, I would love to see the same thing go for armor and the same thing go for helmets as well, just to bring everything up to date. And I really enjoy when I go out into a battle and I see a lot of people wearing the same camouflage and the same helmets and and things like that. It just really shows that you're fighting a organized group of people or an organized outfit rather than a collection of misfits, which seems like the game is mostly catering to right now. If you're part of an outfit, I mean, my outfit alone, I know at one point when I was in Bax, we had, all right, this is the outfit camouflage we were using, this is the outfit helmet we were using. Everybody had to go and buy the helmet. Everybody had to have either one of two different camos that everybody wore. And a lot of times when I play with Bax, I still wear the helmet that has been, quote unquote, approved for playing with Black Arrows. So I would like to see a lot more of that in game, and I hope that the outfit camo functionality is something that they're going to talk about on the live stream. Other than that, you can expect the normal live stream stuff, the normal live stream shenanigans. I imagine they're also going to talk about April 1st stuff, because that's right around the corner, which is my next topic, as a matter of fact. Hopefully they'll talk about that April 1st stuff that's going to come out, and give away codes, the normal stuff. So definitely, if you haven't been to one of their live streams before, you should, because it doesn't hurt to pop in and get a lot of information from them firsthand. And as always, I will do a full recap of the Dev Livestream on next week's show in case you have missed it. But with that, let's move on to a little April Fool's talk. So as we know, April 1st is actually right around the corner, and this year it falls directly on Easter as well. So, I mean, I'm going to have a tough time next week trying to get a show out because I will be traveling for Easter like I normally do. So next week I'll most likely be recording on either Friday or Saturday just to get it in time so that it's still available for release on Monday. But enough about my poor planning. There was a request on Reddit this past week asking if the schnoz was going to return on April 1st this year. Now, if you don't know what the schnoz is, it's a helmet for Planetside 2. And it was something that was in the game in 2016, but for somehow was not in the game last year. And a lot of people were upset that it didn't return to the game last year. And it's something that was only purchasable on a single day in 2015. So, 2016, sorry. So for it not to be there 2017, again, really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So somebody asked specifically if the schnoz was going to return to Planetside 1. And Roxley replied that they would be fools not to bring it back into the game for 2018. So I'm running with that and taking it as we will most likely expect to see all the April Fool's gear and things in the game this year. Now, like I said on that previous topic, I expect them to talk about that a bit on the Dev Livestream on Tuesday. But if anybody is curious what we got in 2016, there were three big things for April Fool's Day that appeared in game. Now, first was that when you were utilizing general issue equipment in the game, you would make a fart sound. And most notably, when people were cloaking, it was making a small fart sound, things like that. So I hope that we see that again, because it's humorous and it's only a day, so get over yourself. There's also talk of, like I said, the aforementioned schnoz, and the schnoz is the strategic combat headgear with navigational offensive Zerg tech. That's SCHNOZ, and it gives players a 50% XP boost when worn. It's only available for purchase on April 1st and only usable on April 1st as well. And it's basically, a Groucho Marx glasses, nose, and mustache. Quite hilarious, perfectly fitting for April 1st, and no reason it shouldn't come back this year. And the final thing that was added in 2016 but not brought back in 2017 was some vehicle horns. And the horns were the fail sauce horn, which is the sad trumpet, and also the courtesy flush horn, which is obviously the toilet flush sound. So I think we can expect both of those to come back in the game on April 1st as well. Again, just something small and something additional for the game to get excited about. Sure, are these game-breaking technology things? No, but it's hilarious to hear someone make farting noises when they're doing just random things within the game itself. It's always hilarious to see, the glasses, fake nose, and mustache on somebody's face when they kill you in game. And the vehicle horns, while some people think that they're annoying and stupid and don't belong in the game, I think that they are amusing when used in moderation. So again, I hope the talk of adding the schnoz back in the game also brings back the other things, because if that's all they do for April Fools, then at least it's something within the game itself, and I will give it 2 thumbs up. With that, let's move on to our 5th topic. Yeah, you heard it. 5 topics, and I've got a 6th one after this. These all seem to be small, and I wanted to cram a whole bunch in this week. So let's move on to the next one. All right, topic 5 was brought up in one of my most recent Twitch live streams by someone listening to my channel named Baloney Coma. So Baloney Coma, this one's for you. He was pointing out a Reddit post about who owns Planetside 2 and how he was torn about continuing to support Planetside 2 based on who basically owns Columbus Nova. And I told him that I made some comments on my stream, but I said that I didn't really know enough about it, so I wanted to actually go back into it and take a look at it all and make a more informed opinion on my thoughts regarding Planetside 2. So the original post that's on Reddit basically said that because Daybreak Games is owned by Columbus Nova, and because Columbus Nova is basically owned by someone named Victor Vekselberg, that because he's high up in the Russian government, he's basically a Ukrainian-born Russian businessman. According to Forbes, he's the 4th richest person in Russia. This was as of 2015. He's said to be very close with the Kremlin in Moscow, and things like that. So obviously in the United States, since we have so much anti-Russia sentiment, which some days blows my mind more than others, that a lot of people are very disinterested in supporting a game that could be owned by someone. And I need to take a step back and say, obviously, it used to be SOE Live. The IP and everything owned by SOE Live was sold to Columbus Nova. Columbus Nova is owned by Renova Group, or Columbus Nova is the U.S. arm of Renova Group, and Victor Vekselberg is the owner of the Renova Group in Russia. So again, just to kind of explain what everything is. Now, there are a lot of shady things in this gentleman's past that I'm not really going to dive into. If you want to go down the rabbit hole and look at all the different stuff that he's done and ways that he might be bad, feel free. I'm not going to spend the time going through it on this week's show. But really, Baloney Coma was asking what my thoughts on this were. Basically, do I feel torn continuing to support Daybreak Games to produce Planetside 2? And when we talked about it on my live stream, I said that yes, I was torn at that time, but again, that I wanted to look into this a little bit more and try and make a little bit better of an informed decision. And at this point, I want to say that no, I am not concerned about supporting Daybreak Games because I feel that Daybreak Games is just such a small, insignificant portion of Victor Vekselberg's $3.6 billion empire that I don't feel that he is directly profiting from Daybreak Games. I mean, sure, his company is profiting from Daybreak Games, but it's not like he specifically said, go buy Daybreak Games so that I can make money from all the players of Planetside 2 to continue to play their game and support their game. I'm reading through all the different stuff. I mean, there was a post that I had to go back 3 years ago, put out by David Carey, who was the former producer for Planetside 2. Basically, he came on and said that we shouldn't be hating on Columbus Nova because basically they felt that they saved Planetside 2 and all the other IPs of SOE so that they can continue to keep going and doing everything that they're doing. I really like David Carey. I really listened to things that he said. I thought, while maybe not agreeing with everything that he did, I felt that he was honest with me in all my interactions with him. And again, based on what he said, I'm not worried about the interactions of Victor Vekselberg with Daybreak Games. And again, Baloney Coma, just to answer your question directly at you, I'm not feeling too bad about it at this point, and I don't think that you should be either, because again, I don't think that this is really any dollar that you send to Daybreak Games to help them is not directly lining the pockets of this guy, because there's such a small cog in the wheel that I guarantee he probably doesn't even know that he owns Planetside 2 in any way, shape, or form. So hopefully that helps you. My conscience is clear on this one. Again, based on a lot of the stuff that David Carey said, based on the things that other people said, like Matt Higbee, John Smedley, stuff like that. My conscience is clear, and that's really all there is to it. Let's move on to our last topic this week. And that last topic was a Planetside 2 video revisiting Planetside 2 done by LevelCapGaming. Now, many of you know who LevelCapGaming is. I mean, way back in the beginning of Planetside 2, he was the commander of the Vanu during the World Domination series. He actually replaced Tobuscus on short notice. So I had a lot of interactions with him way back in the day when we were doing Reachcast and things like that. I believe I still have the Level Cap decal on my Connery Vanu character, as a matter of fact. But he did a video recently talking about returning to Planetside 2, and he has stopped playing Planetside 2 for a number of years now. I think it was 4 years, he said in his video. So it was interesting to see that he was actually coming back into the game and had enough to make a video on the game itself. But what he said initially in the video is that he originally stopped playing Planetside 2 because of performance, and he recently upgraded to a brand new Origin PC which had an i7 8700K in it, something like that. So, I mean, we're talking brand new, top of the line, one of the best CPUs out there. And also he said he had a Titan graphics card in there. So, again, we're talking top of the line equipment that he's using to play Planetside 2. So he wanted to come back in and see how the game played again. And he was disappointed because he still ran into a lot of issues where he'd have great frames at one point and then his frames would absolutely dive off at another time. And one thing that he never mentioned in his video, and it's something that any new player or any listener to the show should probably do, you should probably go into your settings and turn off shadows, because that will increase your frame rates more than any other thing that you potentially do with your computer. And I know that's something that LevelCap did not do, and therefore still suffered some dips into the 40s during big fights, which were just kind of awful. And something that a computer of his magnitude should never run into in any sort of game. So he definitely was a little unhappy that he was still running into certain issues like that when he jacks all the settings up to ultra. He also felt that it still, it was beginning to look like an old game with its dated structures, its dated graphics, the dated sci-fi aspect of it, and ultimately the best quote out of the whole thing was when he said, "Planetside 2 is like an ex-girlfriend. You remember how much fun you had, but you remember exactly why you broke up," which isn't necessarily the best quote that you want to take away from a video about Planetside 2, but I can certainly understand where he's coming from. That ex-girlfriend comment, he says he remembers how much fun he had, and he did have a lot of fun playing Planetside 2 back in the day, and I don't think that he didn't have fun playing it recently, but will that continue to force him to play? And I don't know, because he said he used to play with a lot of friends, and now not so many of those friends are playing it anymore, so this might have just been a one-off for him to jump back in the game and play around with it a little. But if you're someone like LevelCap and hasn't played the game in a long time, maybe it's time to drop in and just check it out again for a half hour, an hour, a couple hours to see what it's like. I was chatting with Torx the other night about games that he's playing and stuff that we're both doing. And he even said, it's been a long time since I've checked out Planetside 2. What's going on with it? And I said, this is the current state of it. Maybe you should come back and check it out. And he said, maybe I will come and check it out. So if you've got any friends who are on the fence and haven't played the game in a long time, send them over to LevelCap video, have them take a look at it, and maybe just remember what it was like to play Planetside 2 back in the day. Yeah, it's not going to be the same, but the game's still going. You can still find good fights in game, and you can still have a good time in game. I do almost every night. And with that, I'm going to close it out and move on to housekeeping.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
So housekeeping, no email, no voicemail, quiet week. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of stuff on Twitch. So as you can see, I did an entire topic this week based on a discussion that I had with folks in Twitch. So definitely check me out in Twitch if you're looking to ask me questions and stuff like that. But how can you get in touch with me or the show? As always, visit my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Email me, instantactionshow@gmail.com. If you do email me, I will read it and respond to it on the show. Call me, leave me a voicemail, 347-4VM-4PS2 or 347-486-4772. Follow the show on Twitter @InstActPodcast. Follow me on Twitter @TheDerringer. Follow me on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/TheDerringer. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that Join Combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.
Get your arms combined.